I'm Galiano, one of
Galiano.
the founders of Boxabl. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview, and thanks for showing us around the facility. Really, really great place. Just wanted to start the story at the beginning. What was the inspiration and how did the process start?
Yeah, so actually it was myself, my father Paolo, and another guy named Kyle. Started working on this back in 2017. But the original idea came long before that, when Paolo actually built a house using traditional modular. And just experienced a whole lot of problems related to the shipping and other problems, and thought, there had to be a better way. So then he drew the original idea to fold up the house. And then in 2017, we decided to really take a shot at it and try to continue development. And then ended up spending a few years doing R&D and prototypes and testing every type of building material under the sun, and eventually settled on the Casita product as the first room module. And of course we do have a grander building system that can build most building types planned, but thought it was an easy place to start with that little Casita, and that turned out to be a good call because people are very interested in that, being a tiny house and stuff. And then we, about January of last year, we said, all right, let's do it. And we pulled the trigger on this building, which is a brand new construction at the time. Got in here, got all the permits, did the whole custom fit out, built the office, installed all the cranes, everything like that. By October, we had built the first house, and now we're just building, a few houses per shift, and everything's moving along really nicely.
Okay, amazing. And then what was the initial idea when you started? What was your plan moving forward, or what was your mission statement with this?
So the idea here is very grandiose. It's really to dramatically reduce the housing costs for the entire world, become like the de facto building system, just create a product that's so far ahead of everyone else's in cost and quality that whenever any developer or builder goes to build, they think, maybe I should just use a Boxabl because it's the best way. So I think our principles all kind of align with that vision, and we are certainly have a huge amount of progress. The trajectory's been crazy, and I think we have a good shot of actually achieving something like that. And when you take all of our core principles that you get with an assembly line and automation and standardization and the repeatable building modules and the bulk purchasing and the scale you can achieve, all those principles, it's a no-brainer that we're going to end up far ahead of the site builder who's always out there doing things one at a time, in the elements with all these other issues that arise.
Right. As someone that's been in the construction industry for the last 25 years myself, I do see the lag behind technology and where the construction industry is compared to how other industries have embraced it. So I've spent some time looking at modular construction, I've spent some time looking at prefabrication, and both of them, despite their advantages, they have some limitations and some problems. Modular, for example, just the whole concept of transferring this huge thing and you're transporting air rather than useful space. Modular is great, but you have issues with connections, and cost savings is also questionable whether there is really cost savings in either or. And the question I guess I have for you is, where is your product in comparison with those two systems, and how is it a better version of combining the two systems? Because essentially that's what it is. It's prefab, yet it's designed in a way for it to become modular on site. So you have the advantages of shipping and transportation, and what other advantages do you have?
Yeah, these systems like panelized systems and modular systems, they've been around for a long time. As far as I'm concerned, they've just failed, because if they hadn't failed, they would have taken market share. But they don't. 90% of buildings are built in the traditional manner. So when I look at, modular factory-built housing, it makes sense to build everything in the factory. But where they're limited is it's too wide for the road. So they cannot ship it far from the factory, or it becomes way too expensive. So that was like our core innovation that makes everything else possible. We had to figure that out first. And now that we have it, it's opening up a whole new possibility for scaling manufacturing. So all the existing factory-built house guys now have small regional factories. They ship a few hundred miles from the factory. So really, they're not able to achieve much. They don't have automation. They don't look like a car factory looks. Right. So our pitch is, now that we can actually ship these things, almost anywhere in the country or within a big enough range to have a big market, that's going to allow us to actually scale production beyond what anyone else has been able to do so far. And hopefully get to the point where our factory looks like an automobile factory. So if you look at any car factory, General Motors, Ford, whatever, they're producing at a rate of about 1 car per minute in these factories. So that's crazy, produce 1 car per minute. That's possible because of the scale. So what we're saying is, because we can ship, we can scale our factory, and therefore we will be able to produce 1 house per minute. Hopefully that's the dream. And if we can do that, we're going to crush costs. We're going to have all these efficiencies, all this automation, all this bulk purchasing, and hopefully end up at a place that's so far ahead of everyone that just hasn't been possible in the past. And it really makes sense, because modern factory mass production is just like, that's how everything's built.
Right.
Whether it's this couch or this doll or an iPhone, they're cranking them out in huge quantities, in a factory, and it just hasn't worked with housing before because of the shipping. And we're saying that our product's going to make it possible to actually mass produce housing. And so that's modular. And then when you look at other systems, like for example, any panelized solutions, I just think it's a dead end, because okay, now you've done a little bit of the work in the factory, and maybe that helps a little bit. But now still, when you go back out to site, all you have with these panelized solutions is the walls,
right,
and whatever panels. That's not a house.
Right.
A house is electrical, plumbing, kitchens, bathrooms. So you still have all that to do on site. You still have all these expensive trades out on site, but now you've thrown into the mix a whole new learning curve. So the guys that know how to wire or do electrical on a traditional lumber frame house, all of a sudden they're looking at this new panel system and they're saying, I've never seen this before. Right. I'm charging you double, or I'm going to go do another job. Right. So you just don't end up ahead with the panelized system. And it goes back to that same automobile example. Imagine if I shipped you a car and it was a kit of parts and you had to put it together. Right. That doesn't make sense. You're not going to get a lower cost, higher quality product with a kit of parts. You got to do everything you can in the factory, and we've really figured that out. Everything is done in the factory that we possibly could. Flooring, walls, kitchen, bathroom, windows, plumbing, electric. You're just setting it down in about an hour. You're unfolding it, and then you're done. You've got like a huge amount of heavy lifting done for that builder developer. They don't have to worry about that. They can just go and add the gingerbread, the different colors, maybe build a deck, add a different roof line, kind of the customizing stuff.
Right, okay. Great. Talking about the way it's built and transported to site, how does the different foundations that you have work? So if you had, would you be able to lay it just on regular grass, or would you need to build a concrete slab? How does that part work?
Yeah, well, the floors on our houses are extremely strong, extremely rigid. They don't need a lot of support. It depends on the use case. If you wanted to, you can just unfold this in your backyard on the grass, on some bricks, in your driveway. The one you've seen out front here is just sitting on, 6 wood blocks on the parking lot. Okay. So it's totally ready to go, but in most cases you do need to permanently affix that to a ground for a permanent use case, to comply with the building codes. So our units are going to bolt to any foundation you want to use, whether it's a slab or a wall or piers. It's just going to bolt on, and that's good too, because it means there's less special requirements, and you can go with whatever's kind of the lowest cost, easiest thing to do based on the local soils.
Okay, so the base is structural.
Absolutely, yeah. The floor on our unit is exactly the same as the roof.
Okay.
And that roof is snow load rated. Okay. It's super strong.
Okay, interesting. Talking about the strength, one of the things I read is that these modules can be combined and stacked up. Yep. How high do you think they can be stacked up, and where do you see that model going? Do you think a whole apartment building could be built out of these modules?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that we eventually will have a system of rooms where we have different size rooms with different interiors. Maybe one box is a kitchen box, one is a bedroom box,
Right.
and we have a bunch of different options. And then you start stacking, connecting, arranging those, and you basically have infinite combinations. So we think our system can build most building types on most of the planet. It's a really big vision. We think we can build anything from a 1,000-unit apartment building all the way down to just, a single family or this little casita that we're starting with. So the current gen of the product can probably do maybe 3 stories. We're getting the test data back to see how many will be approved for. I hope that once we refine the design a little bit, this product would end up comparable with lumber framing. So I think like 2x4 lumber framing, you can go like maybe about 6 stories. So I would like our product to match up to that. But right now we're just focused on the little casita. We have so much demand for that, it's crazy. We want to be really good at that, and then we'll expand the building system afterwards.
Okay, interesting. Slightly off the subject, we're talking about structural. One of the big problems we've had to face is the whole homelessness problem we've had everywhere, especially here in the US, California. Has the local governments taken advantage of your system and purchased this to address a problem like that?
We've started talks with a bunch of different local governments to see if we can kind of help with that. However, I don't see that the problem there is really housing. Most of the homeless population, it's drugs and mental health, so it's kind of a different problem. Obviously, the idea here is that if we can mass produce housing, increase supply at a lower cost, push all the prices down, that's going to help, and a certain percentage of those people are going to end up in housing. But that's obviously like a bigger kind of social issue. Although I'm sure we'll end up selling these to governments for homeless projects type things. We're certainly happy to get involved with that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So as you know, depending on where a particular product is built, whether it's in the UK where I'm from, it's mainly masonry construction, and it's designed that way because of the environment. And then in California, it's timber frame construction. How does your particular unit work in different places, in different weather conditions?
Yeah, that's a really important consideration. And when we were thinking about designing this product, we really wanted something that was universal, that would work everywhere. And the only way to do that is to kind of exceed all the requirements. So as you mentioned, maybe in California, they're designing for earthquakes, or maybe somewhere else they're designing for something else. So those buildings are built differently. What we've done is we've painstakingly looked at every single building material under the sun, every single requirement, and tried to exceed all of them. So you have, fire resistance, energy, wind rating, structural load, all that stuff. And what we've come up with, we think, is kind of a universal solution that should work everywhere. The buildings are really well insulated. So whether you're trying to heat them on the inside or cool them on the inside, that's going to stay, that temperature is going to stay trapped in. All of the houses have hurricane wind ratings on the wall, so they can all handle high winds. They all have snow load ratings on the top, so they can all handle snow. So it's pretty cool and unusual, and it speaks to kind of the quality of the product. And eventually we'll publish kind of the test data on that and some more promotional videos, just so people can get an idea of how good these are. And you can actually look on the YouTube page. There's a video of me like smashing the house with like a crowbar and just kind of showing how strong it is. And then you get a good idea of why this is so much different and so much better than the house that I live in now or that you might live in now.
That's interesting. Talking about the crowbar, so say for example you're in your house, you're moving a piece of furniture and you damage one of the walls. With traditional construction, you'll call the handyman, he'll come and fix it. In a situation like that, who takes care of repairs of any damage that's caused?
Well, first of all, like I said, it is really hard to damage these. So I don't know if you've ever gotten angry before. I certainly haven't, and maybe punched the wall and your hand goes through the sheetrock. That doesn't happen on ours. You're not getting through this thing. But even if you were to damage the wall, you're just going to use traditional building materials. So you just use some regular sheetrock mud, paint over it. Not much difference. Then we have some other things, like for example, the way our electrical is run in the wall. We're not in there cutting through sheetrock and drilling through studs to access the wall. We have a little access panel, you pop it off, and then there's a network of kind of tunnels going through the wall, and you can run electrical. So if you want to mount, maybe mount a TV here, you just pop off your electrical panel, run your wire down, and pull it out.
That's really interesting.
So really, nothing that crazy or difficult. A lot of traditional building materials, and shouldn't really be a big problem.
Amazing. Okay. How does the unit lend itself to off-grid living? So would you be able to add solar panels onto it and have it somewhere in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah. So what we're providing is just the room module with everything we can finished in the factory. How people install it and connect it is up to them. There's a tremendous amount of different use cases that we've thought of and that other people have suggested to us for this product. So it's good to go. You can plug it into the grid, you can plug it into solar, you can plug it into a septic tank or a sewer, and you're just going to do whatever you want with our box. It's like a universal building box. We've got most of the heavy lifting done, and then our customers are just going to take them and finish them off and customize them and tweak them and really do almost whatever they want with them.
Oh, interesting. In terms of the purchase price, where it is at the moment, are you guys actively working to push that price down as you move forward?
Yeah, we have a tremendous amount of demand for this product. Like the wait list is over 100,000 names on it now.
Right. Wow.
So if anything, I think maybe the price is too low.
Okay.
But it's definitely extremely important. The whole idea behind this company is to have the lowest cost housing solution like ever. So everything we're doing is focused on cost, and there's a bunch of different ways we'll achieve that. One is just the smart engineering. So we're not building this building using traditional building materials. We're using all different stuff. And one way that we're going to make that cheaper is by actually reducing the components within the building. So there's just less pieces in our building. They're bigger pieces, there's less of them, so they're easier and faster to assemble. Also, as we scale, we'll have more bulk purchasing. We'll get better at buying things. Maybe some of our components we'll start making ourselves. Then also we have other efficiencies we'll get on the assembly line, just with the processes and the equipment we use and the automation, and everything we do all day is focused on making the product faster and cheaper and higher quality, and we're just going to keep dialing that in. And even at this early stage, just starting here, just in this brand new factory, I think we're already so far ahead of everyone that I can only imagine where we're going to end up once we continue to scale this thing a little more.
How many do you guys see yourselves? How many units do you see yourselves being able to pull out of this factory per week or per month?
Yeah, so
what's the ambition?
To date, we've built, at least over 150.
Okay.
We can produce 2 houses per shift right now, but really we're focused on refining everything, not necessarily speeding up. We did plan that this building would be able to do about 10 per day. 10, so that's kind of the goal for this building, but we are already planning another factory that's much, much larger than this. So that's what we want to get to as quickly as we can. And certainly the demand is there for all types of housing solutions, especially our one.
And is that factory planned in Las Vegas also?
Yeah, we're hoping to do the next factory here nearby, something 10 or 20 times bigger than this, where we really get into some hardcore automation. But we're open to other areas. However, right now, Las Vegas makes a ton of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In terms of the product has been purchased, we take it home. Who assembles it?
The idea is that we would just be the manufacturer of the room module, and we would sell this to anyone who wants it, and there would be a builder, developer, installer involved in actually getting the permits, doing the site prep, setting up the unit. We'll end up with some training, some YouTube videos. It's not hard to do. Okay. If you're used to building a traditional house from scratch, setting up a Boxabl is way, way easier. I mean, not even on the same planet. Totally, should be doable by all these different contractors that are just out there. And we think that we need to just focus on being really good at the manufacturing and, bringing the costs down, and that, all that kind of custom work, we'll leave that for other people because we wouldn't really be able to scale if we were doing, that kind of stuff. So.
Would you be training those subcontractors to come in and assemble these?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we already have for our existing customers training videos we've done, in-house training here, and we'll expand that program as the company expands.
Okay, all right, cool. I've got a couple more questions. I know I'm taking up a lot of your time. We're good? Okay, take off. One of the things I found really interesting about the product is that it was partially design and partially structural. So how much of this was architectural design and how much of it was structural engineering?
You know, we just, as far as design goes, we tried to make it very neutral so that people could change it later on, and we didn't want to stick to any type of design style. Everything we've done has been about engineering, you know, something that's very strong, very fast to produce, very low cost.
Right.
But apart from that, it's really just a blank box.
Right.
You know, so you know, people can use their imagination how they want to tweak that.
Right.
And you know, at the end of the day, most buildings are just rooms, rectangular rooms. So,
Right. Right. Yeah, but what makes it really interesting is the engineering aspect of it, of being able to bring it to a site flat packed and then undo it, and then you have this box that gets undone, but it's waterproofed and
Yeah.
it's airtight. So that part of it is very, very unique.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you been approached by people wanting to use this for Airbnb?
Yeah, you know, we have such a big wait list and so much awareness of the company that every single use case under the sun, someone has suggested it. But, you know, Airbnb is a big one. It's very popular. And the original idea to start with this smallest room module was for actually accessory dwelling units for like backyard
Right.
cottages.
Right.
So, you know, that's good for Airbnb as well. And totally it works if someone wants to, you know, create a little rental business. This is a great way to do it.
It really is, yeah. And then last one, international shipping. Are you guys planning to expand globally?
Yeah, so we think that probably the international business will involve international factories. However, we do have a lot of interest from overseas already and are planning to ship some internationally in the future, maybe just for like early testing with these potential customers. But ideally, we'll get partner factories online all around the world pretty much as soon as we're ready with what we've done here to copy that.
Okay, amazing. Interesting stuff.
Cool.
Thank you for your time.
Good stuff.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you.
Thanks.